Hello, guys. It's Shane Davis here, and I'm here today to talk about Thundercats Roar, and I'm here with none other than the feline mistress herself, Yanzi.
Hi.
See, I didn't complain about a sandwich today. Caught her off guard.
You just mentioned it again. Gosh darn it.
She did. I see. Yeah, I caught you off guard though. But anyways, guys, today we're here to talk about Thundercats news. I keep it on top shelf search. Getting all the Super 7s, awesome action figures are putting out. They are releasing a Thunder Tank. Thundercats favorite of mine as a kid, and it looks like someone else, the director of Kong versus Godzilla or Godzilla versus Kong. I don't know the correct billing in this. Who got top billing? Godzilla did. All right, Godzilla versus Kong, guys. He says he's the biggest Thundercats fan there is. And in his recent interview, he basically said he picked up the script, reworking the script, and is trying to make a movie. And we're going to get into that because it seems like he is a genuine fan. Now, that can either be good or it can be bad, okay? And we'll get into that, guys. But look down below for all the news and pop culture. You want to hit that subscribe button. I put it out there for you guys just to keep you up to date on all the ins and outs in pop culture. Let's get into some of this, Yanzi.
The important part we want to read is over here. Wingard talks here about his passion for Thundercats. This is from the horse's mouth. Nobody on this planet knows or has thought as much about Thundercats as I have. They gave me the reins. I saw this as an opportunity to do a new type of fantasy sci-fi spectacle film that people have never seen before. It's got a rich mythology. The characters are fantastic. The colors. I want to do a Thundercat film that takes you back to the 80s aesthetics. I don't want to reinvent the way they look. I want them to look like the Thundercats. I don't want to do it live action either. I don't want it to look like cats. I don't want those kind of issues. No disrespect to that director, whom I don't mean to throw under the bus any more than anyone else has. I want to do a movie that you have never seen before. A hybrid CGI film that has a hyper-real look and somehow bridges the gap between cartoon and CGI. That's the starting point.
Yeah. Now, here's the interesting part, and it took me a minute to put together what he meant. He's wanting animation in CGI, and he's trying to bridge the gap. It kind of throws you for a loop there for a second, what he's actually envisioning, but it actually makes sense when you think about the Spider-Man Spider-Verse Miles Morales movie. Basically, that movie did merge CGI and comic book graphics together. And I think from listening to him, reading him talk about how big a fan he is looking to do a similar thing, but try to capture that 80s vibe that the original Thundercats had with the awesome animation, that awesome intro, the light effects that Rankin and Bass had, the rich color schemes, all of this. And you can see he's like, no, they should look more like people with accent of cats rather than anthropomorphic type cat humanoid things. And I agree. Thundercats was an interesting thing for people that don't know that was from the 80s. Rankin and Bass came in with this high concept, hit automatically. Awesome first 2 episodes. It follows what's to be a king to be Lion-O. They go into stasis as their ship crash lands on a planet, Third Earth. They're followed by the mutants. And Lion-O's capsule malfunctions. So he actually grew in physical age, but wakes up. He went to bed 12. He woke up like 25. And all of a sudden, he's the leader because he is. But he's got the mind of a kid, and he's the only one that can wield the Sword of Omens. And this was an interesting dynamic for the show because he was basically fumbling through life lessons, and it had a really good story mechanism for kids to see the error of their ways and to think more responsible and make better decisions in life. Now, what's interesting is that it seems like he's actually just wanting to follow, from what I gathered, the show that already exists. So it's going to be interesting where this picks up at. Is he such a big fan that he's pretending all of this is canon and all of this is already there? Or are they going to try to do a new origin story from the get-go? And to me, I think this could only work in animation because I think having a like a muscular dude pretending he's got the mind of a 12-year-old. I think it'll become more of a comedy thing rather than what the show actually got through. Now, what's interesting with this for me is how many failed attempts at Thundercats Warner Brothers has had. We've had the Thundercats Roar.
Done in 2020, a year where everyone is stuck at home with nothing else to do but to watch Netflix and chill. And they still managed to score 2.1 out of 10 stars based on almost 1,500 ratings. So, yikes.
Yeah, this was mocked and made fun of right out the gate because just even in Family Guy, they make a reference to Thundercats being something awesome in the 80s. People love Thundercats, and then we come up with this, what do you call this? Bean mouth, this cow
They call it
arts?
the cow art style where everyone has this bean mouths. The women don't look like women. Everyone looks slightly like lumpy potato sacks or something like that.
Right. And Rankin and Bass didn't cut corners on anything with Thundercats. The anatomy of the figures, the proportions, the energy effects in the show, the special effects perspective, just the intro scene to Thundercats is people look at it as like the pinnacle of animation intro scenes ever. Now, Rankin and Bass also had some other series like Silverhawks was one and Tiger Sharks. And they never were as successful as Thundercats. So there was magic in Thundercats, and you should respect that. Now, this was not the only Thundercats attempt. There was one, I think, in the 2000s.
2011. I actually really like this one. So for people who don't know, I'm from Singapore. We got the American Thundercats of the 80s, but that was it came at a weird time slot. It wasn't something that I saw as a child, unfortunately. So my first experience of Thundercats is actually this 2011 Thundercats. And I really liked it. I thought it was dark. The storylines were respectful, and there were all these wonderful stories about nature and coexisting. And the villains looked really good too. And the anatomy, wow. I mean, if you draw, you will look at this and you can tell, wow, these people doing the storyboards and everything, they love what they are doing, that they really know what they're doing.
Yeah, it really changed the characters a little bit, but the actual animation was good. In especially considering what we get today, a lot of effort was put in this, a lot of love. They did try to rebrand it in such a way. If you'd watched the old series, you would notice things like the story between Mumra and Groon and things like that, and Jaga. All of these things they kind of played up a little bit differently in this. Now, keep in mind a lot of backstory, and some of these characters really weren't linked. Like the Thundercats just happenstance into Mumra's territory. They were invading on his property, not the other way around. And I think in this Thundercats, they were trying to make more of a mythos that connected these characters together. It was still a good series, but oftentimes it paled in comparison to the original Thundercats. The Cal Arts thing was just a cheap, wild attempt to throw some cash at a property. And that's what Thundercats is. You have to understand, Thundercats is a property Warner Brothers owns. They don't know what to do with it, but they know people love it.
People love it so much that they decided to give them this version and say, oh boy, now we're going to make your kids love it too. And we're like, what?
Right. So the takeaway is from this is this is a man that obviously knows how to handle a lot of CG and CG action, as we can see from the trailers from Godzilla versus Kong. So if he has a vision, what's interesting here is he's not attempting to do full-on realistic. He is wanting an animation vibe to it. And that might be the pulse that is Thundercats. If he is able to use CG and blend it with the Rankin and Bass secret herbs and spices that made Thundercats pop off the TVs for us as children, that people love today, that people are spending $400 for a Super 7 Thunder Tank. Hint, hint, dear, that's what I want for Christmas. There is something there. You could get new kids liking Thundercats, and you already have a baked-in audience if he can hit that nerve. And if he's very respectful of the source material, which it absolutely sounds like he is, as he talks about being such a big fan in 10th grade and even tried writing his own Thundercats script in 10th grade for a movie. Like he was already thinking of Thundercats as a live action movie or something in 10th grade. This man spent a lot of time thinking about this. If these stories are true, my fingers are crossed. high hopes for Thundercats, but that's not the only cats to have high hopes for. High hopes for Starlight Cats, Merlion Rising. See how smooth that was? Up on Indiegogo, $102,300. Dude, we're moving on up. I see 103 happening any day. Get over there, back this campaign. Also, subscribe to the channel. Why don't you? The subscribe button's there. Why ain't you mashing it? Mash that button. And we will catch you again with another video. Take care.